764-123, that's Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, warning the European Union that Ankara would not implement a key deal on reducing the flow of immigrants if Brussels failed to fulfill its side of the bargain. Under the deal, Turkey agreed to take back migrants who reached Greece illegally from March. For every Syrian returned, Europe agreed to take a Syrian refugee from Turkey to be resettled in an EU country. Okay, Diana West joins me. She's the author of Death of the Grown-Up and American Betrayal. I'm sorry. I am melting down this morning, Diana. First, we have our president arguing that, in fact, we actually do have to pay non-citizens government benefits. And now I've got this weird negotiation that's happening over human beings. The world's gone mad.
No, it's a plan. It's not madness at all. It's madness to normal people, and you are a normal person, Sam, with traditional, really antiquated, outmoded ideas that really we should all get rid of as soon as possible so that everything makes sense again. No, seriously. Well, actually, that is serious. This is different points around the globe implementing an overall movement toward global, multicultural destruction of any sort of Western society. And you see it coming from the UN, where you have the chief of migrants, Peter Sutherland, applauding the destruction of, quote, homogeneous European societies. You have it with Obama now deciding American taxpayers are going to essentially start paying for all kinds of people who aren't even Americans, which is what that's about. Again, another blow at the concept of being a people, having a sovereign state, having responsibility to your own people. And then with the migrant, quote, crisis, we're just seeing more horse trading in human beings with a goal, again, of completely destroying, undermining any sense of nationhood, any sense of Europe. And it's well underway. It's very difficult to deal with, but it is all of a piece, and it definitely is happening here as well. We really can't be smug about this.
No. And you've seen, I'm sure, the movements to erect Section 8 housing in affluent neighborhoods to diversify those neighborhoods, right?
Yes. Again, these are unelected bureaucrats, whether they're in the European Union, whether at the United Nations, whether they're in our own government, the really fourth and fifth branch of government in terms of these unelected bureaucracies that essentially run the nation and impose these draconian measures to change society in the vision of these unelected bureaucrats. It's terrifying because it seems to have its own energy, its own movement. They seem impervious to elections. They seem impervious to elected government.
All right, and now there's a complaint that's been filed against a legislator for distributing an anti-Muslim DVD to lawmakers. So the lawmakers are going after this woman, Lynn Johnston. Susan Lynn, and she has to respond to this complaint. All she did was distribute a video that was called America's Mosques Exposed, video evidence they are war factories. Is this more, and this is more don't ask, don't tell. Like, we don't want to know what the truth is.
Well, exactly, and it's actually a part of a concerted information war to prevent us from coming to normal, logical, rational understandings of, in this case, what a mosque is, what Islam is. I mean, this is just more of what has been more than a decade of really decoupling evidence of Islam, what Islam is, what jihad is, what Islamic conquest is, from the discussion. It's been Islam, the language of Islam has long been eradicated from our government documents. This goes back to the Bush administration. This is not just a feature of the Obama administration. This has been a long time coming. And this is really essentially a new stage, a new front in this effort to now target the already Sino-Islam program countering violent extremism in this same cycle. This is more effort to really take us into the world of gibberish, so we just can't even comprehend what is going on, and we learn to mistrust our own eyes, our own evidence, our own grasp, our own reliance on evidence. It's very, very dangerous stuff.
It really is, and I'm astonished. I shouldn't say this anymore. I'm not astonished. It's all of a piece. It all works. But you know what? We still have to fight against this. We still have to point out the truth. We can't.
Exactly.
What's the word you? I love this word that you use. Normalize, right? We normalized relations with the USSR, and all of a sudden, communism really wasn't such a bad thing. And now, what do we have? We have a communist party in the United States, which was called the Democrats, but it's really the Communist Party. Come on, Sanders is almost. I mean, he just won a state, for crying out loud. So we have to do something to counterbalance this, and that would be speak the truth. Go ahead.
Well, speak the truth, and also start recognizing these for games and deception strategies. I think it's really important that people really get to know this kind of process that's going on before our eyes. We've all lived through the past decade or so where we've watched this, and it's really time to get wise to it. This again, it's why you see the rise of parties like Geert Wilders' party in the Netherlands with a very strict program to address the Islamic. His whole program is to de-Islamize. In order to de-Islamize, you have to recognize what Islam is, what it brings, the law that's completely aggressive and hostile and designed to conquer your own, and you have to kind of go from there. And our whole movement has been exactly in the opposite direction under both parties, which again, is why when Donald Trump mentions a ban on Islamic immigration, it's almost like revelation. No one has ever said such a thing, but it implies what he has not brought to us and what needs to be fleshed out. It implies a discussion of Islam's complete incompatibility with our constitutional form of government and with the guarantees that we have of liberty under the Bill of Rights. Such liberties as freedom of speech and freedom of religion are outlawed under Islam. This is a basic fact that we have, as a people, have been prevented from discussing in the public square by leaders who have decided to abdicate their complete responsibility and remove discussion of Islam from the public square. We actually have the head of the Department of Homeland Security will not call the Islamic State as a matter of fearing to inflame Islam. And you have on the other side of the aisle, you have Michael McCall, the chairman of the, in charge of the military committee in the Congress on the Republican side of the aisle, agreeing. So you have this collusion of deception and fear and really deception.
Is that why Kerry calls it
Islam off the table? I'm sorry?
Right. Is that why Kerry calls it Daesh?
Yeah. Yes, it is. And it's, of course, he might anyway. He's sort of in a category by himself. But yes, that is the effort to completely de-Islamize the discussion of the Islamic State. Very often, if you Google search for Islam in a discussion of Islamic terror or crucifixion or immolation, etc., the only mention of Islam will be Islamic State if that term still is permitted in that particular news service's guidebook. So this is where we are, and it's essentially Babel. I mean, literally, it's like a biblical state of being in Babel and not knowing what's going on.
Oh, it's so fascinating you bring that up because all I see is humans trying to be God, the government trying to be God. We're trying to create. We're building our Tower of Babel. Yes, and it is the U.S. government right now. And I'm sure you saw this chart that the U.S. is admitting more than twice the number of migrants from the Muslim world than Europe is.
Yes, exactly. And I think the figure almost coming up towards 700,000 in the last 5 years. This is a huge demographic block. This is once it's the kind of thing where once the demographic block achieves a critical mass, which is very small. If we could look to the example of Europe, where you look at 1, 2, 3% of a population in Great Britain, it's much larger in some of the other countries, you start seeing the flip toward Sharia concessions. You start seeing the corruption of the legal system,
That's right.
of the social system.
That's right.
This is what we are doing to ourselves.
We're doing
without
it to
any
ourselves.
discussion. Without
Exactly.
discussion.
I said it in the last segment. I said we have a president that believes in euthanasia, and he is practicing assisted suicide on the United States. And that's all this is. Oh, my heavens. I said it again, and it makes my stomach turn. This is the Sam Sorbo Show. Up next, the definition of stealth.